So it's a juncture of space and time. What else? Any other?
Ritual, so like a fire.
These are all signs. I'm talking about categories. You talk priests, prophets, kings, temple, Torah. One more, my friends, very, very important, is the land of Israel as a whole. And I want to introduce a term here. You call them mediators, rightly so. It's a valid term. I would like to introduce the idea or the term axis mundi. Axis mundi. The axis of the world. And you'll see why I'm using that term. I didn't invent it. Many, many greater scholars than me use it. There's a great article about it by Professor Art Green from Brandeis. Axis, A-X-I-S, mundi. Mundi is world, right? Axis mundi, the axis of the world. And let us look now at the texts, and I want you to see or to experience together with me how the biblical language reflects this notion of axis mundi. So let us start with the first axis mundi, the priests. Who'd like to read? And we'll go with English. Go ahead, dear.
And bring now near unto me Aaron my brother, and his sons with him, from among the children of Israel, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. Carry on?
Yeah, of course.
And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron my brother, for splendor and for beauty.
Okay, and now from verse 4 on, I highlighted it for you. This is not in the original, we don't right? Now pay close attention to the garments of the priest. Okay? Pay close attention. Yeah.
And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate and an ephod, and a robe and a tunic of checker work, a mitre and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron my brother and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones and grave on them the names of the children of Israel, 6 of their names on the one stone, and the names of the 6 that remain on the other stone, according to their birth. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod, to be stones of a memorial for the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make a breastplate of judgment, the work of the skillful workman, like the work of the ephod. Thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen shall thou make it. And the stone shall be according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one according to his name. They shall be for the 12 tribes. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place for memorial before the Lord continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, from what we just read, please describe to me, where are the names of the children of Israel engraved on Aaron's garment? 2 places, which are? On the shoulders and
on the breastplate.
Fantastic. On the shoulders, before the Lord, and on the breastplate, before the people of Israel. Here is a garment that literally presents Aaron, the high priest, as an axis mundi. He is now a commemoration of the covenantal relationship between God and Israel. Wherever he goes, right, there are 2 things that are with him at all times. The names of Israel vertically, and the names of Israel horizontally. And he's now the mediator, the negotiator, the one whose responsibility, and by virtue of that, the ethical charge based on him, right? His responsibility to negotiate the covenantal relationship between God and man, or between God and Israel. Okay? So here is one example of an axis mundi. Let us continue now to the second type of axis mundi, melachim.
What's an ephod?
Ephod is a type of a vest.
Breastplate.
No. A breastplate is a different thing. Ephod is made of cloth, from whence came the modern Hebrew word afuda, which is a vest. Okay. Today we have in our ephod magen. Is that okay? All right. The Urim and Tumim are the two plates upon which the 6 stones on each one was put on the chest. Okay? So those are the horizontal ones. The kotafot, the vertical ones, and the horizontal ones. Okay, so now we have a priest. Literally it's an axis mundi. Let us now continue. Yeah, sorry.
I have a question about the breastplate. Didn't they have various stones on the breastplate?
Yeah, each one was different.
Yeah, according to the verse of the... Okay, but didn't it specify somewhere the types of stones?
Yeah.
Or is but not here? Or it was just because it's shortage?
Right.
Different stuff.
Who would like to read now the Kings? Don't be shy, guys. I need your help because I don't want to lose my voice. We have a lot of texts today. Go
There
ahead.
is nothing in the ark save the 2 tables of stone which Moses put there at Horeb, when the Lord made a covenant with the children of Israel, when they came out of the land of Egypt. And it came to pass, when the priests were come out of the holy place, that the cloud filled the house of the Lord, so that the priests could not stand to minister by reason of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord. Then spoke Solomon, the Lord hath said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. I have surely built thee a house of habitation, a place for thee to dwell in forever.
Let's stop here. What is King Solomon referring to? Obviously, the first, right? The first temple. The first temple. Built circa somewhere around 970, 965 BCE. Right? 10th century BCE. Okay, continue.
And the king turned his face about and blessed all the congregation of Israel, and all the congregation of Israel stood.
Okay, now here's a question for you. When Solomon speaks in this text, where is his face pointing? If you look at verse 14, obviously it gives you a clue. So he's facing who?
No, he's then turning.
He's facing?
The arm. Yeah, what's it?
He's facing God. As well, the divine representation, right? That he's facing something that is holy, right? He's saying whatever he's saying. He's receiving whatever he's receiving, right? And then what does he do? He literally turns around. He shows his face now to the people of Israel and doing what? Giving them a blessing, right? Now here, and that's a whole lecture of its own, the notion of face-to-face in the biblical narrative. I have a whole lecture about that, so we won't get into that today. But what I do want you to understand is that the idea of seeing the face, the notion of seeing God's face, is something that is kept only to those that were chosen by God to be able to see God's face. And here I'm talking figuratively, because you know that with Moses, for example, who is allegedly told and no one who saw God face to face, even when we look into that in the Torah narrative, so that he didn't actually see God face to face. However, he did come to a very intimate level of knowledge of God. This comes also from the socio-political climate of the biblical narrative itself. If you follow the biblical narrative, you see, for example, I'll give you an example. The same Moses, when he comes to Pharaoh, if you remember, and tells him, let my people go, blah, 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 and Pharaoh is upset with him. I'm not imagining. Go and check out the Bible. We all have the same version. Pharaoh says to him, get out of my palace, do not show your face, or you will not see my face again, for on the day you will see my face, you surely die. You'll surely die. In other words, the idea of seeing the face is a sign of great intimacy and divine acceptance. Okay? The idea of divine endorsement or kingly endorsement. This is why when Moses comes down from Mount Sinai, what features on Moses' face in result of descending from Sinai? His face is radiant, right?